Alright folks, Malcolm McLean, 9 Too Fast for You, this is Pepper. Another episode today. What are we doing today? As we saw last time, or I talked about, maybe we did, maybe this is the first time we're talking about it. We failed. We failed smog. That's the long and the short of it. See that right there? CO emissions, gross polluter. What does that mean? AFR was about 12.8. We're looking for like 14.0 or better, 14.2, 14.3. How did we get that? You stick your nose in the tailpipe and you sniff it. That's about as good as you can do without special tooling. So, what did we get? Special tooling. This right here, my friends, is an AEM air-fuel ratio gauge. I didn't have to get an AEM one, but I wanted a good one. I'm planning on doing that 6-liter LS block back there with a turbo on it from Mater. And then I have my white car outside, which is also going to be a turbo car. Both of those will need AFR gauges, and it's just a handy tool to have on any car you do, really, to make sure you're really running where you want it to go. So with this car, what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if we have any O2 bungs. We shouldn't. It's a 79 car, so the odds are we don't. But in the off chance we do, we will check first. So the first things we do, we park in the parking brake, and then we put it in first, because this car is a transaxle. It'll lock the rear wheels, and they won't be able to spin backwards. They'll only be able to spin forwards, and the nose will be up. So we're gonna pull the parking brake, pop the hood, disconnect the battery. I'll probably put the battery on a battery tender. Battery was disconnected, so that's probably good. Kind of the last work we did on this car is we got the alternator running right. Got a new one installed. You see parking brake is parking. So next step, we're going to jack this fucker up. About right there. Get my hands and knees. Start looking. Alright, so ignore the hair, sorry, hat head. And car's up, engine bay's open and exposed. Next thing I'll be doing, oh, look at my chest. Next thing I'll be doing is I'll be crawling down there, I'm going to check and inspect what I have in the way of pipe down there, access, what I'm going to look for. Usually when installing an air-fuel ratio gauge, you want to be at the end of all your runners. You want everything to be connected. So you don't want to have two runners coming in and you're on only one of them, because you're not going to read the second one. So if you have dual exhausts, this gets tricky. I'm not going to speak to that, as I'm not sure. I would assume you ran two. If you have two exhausts, you need one for each exhaust. But if you have splitters and a Y that come together, I suggest that you do right where they intersect, where the collector is, and they go from 2 to 1. Do it in the one section, okay, right after they collect. And then you want at least 2 feet of pipe behind it, so that way you don't get atmospheric reversion coming back, as in air coming back up the exhaust pipe and tampering your ratio you're reading. So with that being said, I'm going to crawl down there. If I find a good spot, or if I find an old sensor location, I'll let you guys know, show you it. If not, I'll talk to you guys about what's next. Okay, and press record. Okay, so this is your little connector here. This is what starts off in, or I should say, actually, this is what starts off in. This is your weld-in O2 sensor bung. There is a right and a wrong way to do it, so I'm going to have to mess with that and make sure I get it the right way. I was assuming you want flat surface on flat surface, but maybe not. I'll have to figure that out, which way this bung goes, and get back to you, but the bung is two-sided. There's only one way it goes, so I'll have to check on that. And then you have some butt connectors that go through it. Ignore the screaming children next door. They're annoying as all living Christ. Shut up! Bung. We have our AFR sensor here. This AFR sensor is going to be the same common thread as an O2 sensor. So if you already have O2 sensor bunks in your exhaust, you can skip this first step of welding it in. I don't have that luxury, so I'm going to weld this bad boy in. So in order to do that, what we're going to be looking for is you're going to have access to welding. If flux core is all you have, I'd maybe debate taking it to a shop. If you're very, very, very well versed in flux core and you're competent in it, and you're confident in your abilities, then go for it, flux core it. But I would say, unless you have MIG or TIG as a standard regular welder, I wouldn't try to do it. If you have flux and you're competent in it, go for it. But if you've never welded before and you're gonna try and weld this in for your very first time, don't go to Harbor Freight and buy the $100 machine. It won't work. Okay? You're gonna end up on one of those automotive "this just rolled in" YouTube channels, or TikToks, or Instagram Reels, or whatever you kids watch nowadays. It'll be on one of those, or YouTube Shorts. It'll be one of those, and it'll be like, "What? This is rolled in," and it'll be one of those horrible exhaust jobs that look like a spider web. Don't go buy a Harbor Freight welder and try to do this. Just take it to an exhaust shop. They'll charge you probably $100 or less. Have a buddy that welds. Find them. If not, I was reading that Holley Performance makes like a band style clamp where you can just drill the hole, and it has a gasket and a rounded flange that clamps on with 2 T-bolts. It's a pretty cool design that doesn't require welding, so if you don't have a welder, that would be the route I took. This AEM only comes with a weld-in bung, but like I said, it's a standard thread, so I'm sure you could find whatever pipe you needed, whatever size you needed for yours. So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a stepped drill bit. You're going to be like, what does a stepped drill bit look? Well, I'll kick you over this way while I look for one. This guy right here. Oh, they're going to need my box, actually. Crap. They're in the back of my box. This right here is a stepped drill bit. You can see how it goes in steps. I have a funny feeling this Milwaukee one isn't going to be tall enough. So, you don't have to buy the Milwaukee ones. I have them because I use the crap out of them. And I don't like the Harbor Freight ones for doing thick metal. This is just exhaust tubing, so you'll be alright. But, that's close. But close ain't good enough. wonder if you just slip that in a world. That's probably what you do. You slip that collet in. Yeah, so as long as it's that diameter. That makes sense. It's a 1-inch diameter. Okay, so I do have the right one. And I answered my question looking at this. So, with a bung, you wouldn't want to stick a sensor all the way into your exhaust. You know what I mean? Yeah, that'd be really far in there. What you really want is when it threads in, you want just this tip to sit up against the, just this inner rim here is going to go into the hole in the exhaust. You'll weld that outer ring, and then you screw your sensor in, and it'll be kind of like that. If that makes sense. Imagine this is your exhaust wall, stick in like that. You don't want to do this and put it right up on the edge. You want to do this, okay? Alrighty, tidy. So solves that question. The next thing you're gonna want is a drill. Nothing compares to a quiet evening alone. Whatever. So we have our drill, we have our bung. I'm also going to use a tap bit, this little one down here, this little set of bits. I'm going to tap it for this bigger one, and then we'll run through in that. So the next step is I'm gonna try and make this wiring nice enough so I can drive it around for a while, keep an eye on the AFRs, and then when I go to sell the car, I'll sell it and pull it. But for now, the game plan is probably going to be, ooh, that's a tough choice. I'm thinking I'm gonna kick it through and then maybe feed it underneath the steering boxes and underneath the steering wheel, underneath all the center console stuff, and kick it over to the glove compartment. And then maybe I can feed the wire over the back of the glove box and just leave it in the glove box. That's kind of my plan right now. New plan. So you guys are going to be able to see this as the way it should be done. Feeding the wire through the battery box terminal. My plan is that I'm going to kick this wire down the exhaust. Alright, I'm gonna go check the cab and try and find the wire underneath the steering column box and pull it down. See what I can do. So currently I have the wire coming through here, down the top of the engine bay and the front of the engine bay. I'm currently running the wire back behind the distributor and the coil, and I'm gonna shoot it down onto the driver's side, so that way it can avoid all the heat and not melt the wires. Alright, so about the wire ran down there, the connector will reach, and I'm happy with it wherever it is in the cab. If it's temporary, it's temporary, I'll pull it. If it can live in the glove box, perfect. If not, I can put it on the dash or something and pull it down when I need it. But for right now, the game plan is going to be set the welder up, get the extension cord ran, get the miller running, and then go down there, clean up the surface where I'm going to put it, measure it out again, and then tap and drill the hole, get the hole ready, deburr the hole, try and get all the chips out of it, and then yeah, weld in the bung. Once the bung is welded in, I'll let it cool down for a bit. I'll work on running the live positive strap, the key on strap, which will be this guy here. This guy here is going to be the key on switch. He has a bunch of stuff tapped into this. You could do like data loggers, a bunch of different stuff. I don't know too many things you can do with it, but there's a bunch of different opportunities. You have like 6 different outputs here. So yeah, I'm gonna go with red as power. Pretty simple. So we'll go hook this sucker up.
bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell. You and me, we're meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. You and me, meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
What's up, guys? As you can see, we got Pepper up and running. Just sitting right at just under 900 RPM. And we have our AFRs on the other side. We got ourselves a pretty consistent 14.2, 14.3 over there. Just running through that gauge. It does this. It just gets caught up in the tack. It doesn't want to come all the way back down.